This is Life is Leet, episode 39 for Wednesday, June 10, 2015. Hello everyone, welcome back to Life is Leet. This is a podcast of nerds yelling at microphones about things. I am Jesse Hanna, and joining me tonight, as always, and once again with video, for only the second time ever, is my younger brother and my co-host, Aaron. How you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good.
Pretty good after our technical difficulties trying to get Skype wrangled and headsets and microphones working and all the whatnot that goes into podcasting. But that's all inside baseball. That's not what you're here. That's not what you're here to listen to. You're here to listen to us yell at microphones about things. And by things, usually we mean video games. So let's go ahead and talk about video games. Well, and anime too sometimes. But tonight it's pretty much all going to be video games because E3 is coming up.
So.
But yeah, it usually is mostly video games. Mostly because I haven't had much time to watch much anime lately. But we'll get back to that in an upcoming episode. Tonight it's all video games though, and I've still mostly been playing Hearthstone, to be honest. Early season ladder is freaking hard. The meta is all messed up. You've got people who finished in much higher ranks than you working their way back up if you manage to get up a few ranks to like 17 or so. That's where I am right now. I'm kind of stuck there at the moment. And I've mostly gotten there. I started at 20 because I got up to, 13 last season. So I started at 20. And I've got up to 17 now, mostly thanks to my Oil Rogue and my Zoo Lock. Those have been my decks of choice, aside, of course, from doing quests to get some gold. But those have been my decks of choice so far this season. There was a... I've still got that cough. Terrible pain in the rear. Anyway, there was an excellent episode of The Angry Chicken last week with a player and streamer named Karma, and she gave some really good advice about choosing a deck for the ladder meta, knowing when to change decks, and just things like that, and also just about her experience as a streamer, as a female Hearthstone player, and what it's like trying to break into the scene, trying to build a stream following, trying to get into tournaments, that sort of thing. So that was last week's episode. I don't remember what episode number, but we will have a link to it in the show notes at lifeisleet.com. So if you've at all been interested in or trying to climb up the Hearthstone ranked play ladder, I definitely recommend checking it out. It was a really great episode. I also managed to get in a little bit of WoW this week, actually, because I have just really had a hankering for playing through some of the older starting areas. I've played a little bit of Gilneas on my Worgen Rogue, a little bit of Elwyn Forest on my Human Warlock, and a bit of Dunmarrow with my Dwarf Hunter. Just been feeling really nostalgic, wanting to go back and play those areas. And I might have to switch to... prepaid cards for a little while, just trying to save some money for various major life event purchases that are going to be happening in the near future that I'll talk about very soon. Probably in the next few weeks is when I'll be talking more
probably
about
about like 3 weeks after they've happened.
Well, hopefully, excuse me, hopefully not that late, but I'll let that Johnson remain pulled for a little while. But yeah, so bit of a nostalgia kick in WoW lately. And I've got a whole bunch of Lobby Alliance characters lying around that I haven't really been that much into the Garrison Craft thing lately on my Rogue, and even on my Death Knight Alliance side. So I've just been wanting to go back and level some characters that I haven't played in a while. So it's fun going back to some of those alts. But that's really been it for WoW for me lately. I really have not played. I haven't done LFR in weeks. Just have not had a whole lot of time to sit down and do anything with it lately. But and I've also been playing a little bit of Pokemon White again. Picked that back up. Still working my way through it. I beat the Nimbasa City Gym, and OMG, that leveling cliff. It's not so much a curve as a cliff in the games up through Generation 5, and I'd really forgotten because of how dead easy it is in X and Y and in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire thanks to the XP All. But before those games, I'd forgotten how steep the leveling curve can get sometimes. You do have to actually explore the entire route, battle lots of wild Pokemon. You don't have to do a whole ton of grinding just walking through grassy areas fighting random Pokemon, but you do have to put some more work into leveling. You don't just automatically end up 10 levels over leveled by the time you get to the Elite Four. And so I've kind of forgotten that a little bit. So kind of needed reminding of that. But anyway, that's pretty much been it for me for gaming the last couple of weeks since we last recorded. Didn't have an episode last week, of course. We were both really busy. What have you been up to in the meantime, Aaron?
Monster Hunter, pretty much the only game I've been playing seriously as of late is Monster Hunter 4. I'm holding the game card up to my camera.
Yes, we see.
It's got me by the neck, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's especially fun. It's one of those games where you get gear by grinding a lot, and you get, and as I said when I first talked about it, it's pretty much a cycle of you go out and kill monsters, you kill them and cut up their parts, and then you use said parts to make armor and weapons, and then you go out and kill more monsters and repeat the process ad infinitum.
Which I love in MMOs. I love me a good crafting system. So that sounds great to me. Sign me up.
Well, this is pretty much all crafting in this game.
Okay. Well, and
it does.
There's also a JRPG series, the Atelier series, which is it's basically all crafting. You kill monsters, you get stuff, you make things with the stuff that you get. So yeah, that sounds perfectly good to me. I still haven't had a chance to pick up the demo, but I do still plan to.
But yeah, that's pretty much about it.
Yeah,
I've been playing is just killing monsters.
Any more heroes?
Not particularly. No, I only just booted it up last night because I found out that the Shondo Illidan skin was on sale, and that's the one skin I really want.
Nice.
So yeah.
I need to get back into Heroes to get at least up to level 12 so I can get that awesome freaking Hearthstone card back.
I need to.
Oh, and there's also the WoW
games
mount.
Or play 100 games in Hearthstone in order to get the mount.
Win 100 games, I think.
Okay, I need to work on that.
And that's to get the Hearthstone card mount in Heroes of the Storm, which I want that too.
Yeah, I pretty much have everything else. I have the Draenor mount for getting to 100.
Yeah.
I got
that.
Grave Golem pet for getting to a certain level in Heroes.
I don't have
and
that.
I got the Heroes card back for Hearthstone.
Okay.
So I literally only just need the card mount, and I need to pick up Hearthstone again soon anyway if I want to get the new card back for this season.
You have to get to level 12 in Heroes to get the card back in Hearthstone. I'm still at like level 8. I don't know what level you need to get the WoW pet. And I've got the Heroes mount for getting to level 100 in WoW. So I just need to get back into Heroes to get the goodies in the other games that I also play. That I play in theory anyway, that I don't actually have very much time to play. In theory, I play all these games that I talk about and want to play and are just completely consuming my mind with agony that I don't actually have the time to play them all.
But
that's neither here nor there.
it's the pains of having a job. You work to
Yeah,
get money, but you can't play games so that you can buy video games. But
you
you can't play
work
them because you have work.
you work to get money to buy video games that you don't have the time to play because you're working to get money to buy video games. That's really
That
that's
is
how
the
life
ultimate
works.
conundrum right there. That is
That's
just completely backwards.
that's adulthood for you though. That's just how it goes. Anyway, moving on now. Let's talk about a few different things that have happened over the last few weeks. The first big one that I think we want to talk about is the Fallout 4 announcement trailer that came out. It was what, about a week and a half ago? It was last Monday or Tuesday, wasn't it?
It was a week ago. I remember that.
Yeah, and the trailer originally leaked from some source or another, and then Bethesda came out and said, "Okay, fine, here it is. Here's the official
The
thing."
worst kept secret in all of video games.
I know. We all knew that it was being worked on. They weren't saying anything about it, but then yeah, we all knew that it was happening. And the trailer is pretty awesome. I have New Vegas in my Steam library. I have not had a chance to play it, but I really want to dig that out before this comes out because I might want to pick up Fallout 4. Apparently, it takes place in Boston at roughly the same
Boston.
at roughly the same time as the other Fallout games. Apparently, after the thermonuclear war that destroyed everything. The trailer makes it look like maybe we're gonna get a little bit of backstory into what happened before. So
Maybe. I mean, all that
maybe.
anyone really needs to know is someone goofed up and then bombs happened.
Well, yeah,
And then everything
nukes.
got fried.
Right. But maybe we'll get a little bit more of the backstory of whatever it was that actually happened.
Maybe.
And also there's a dog. So there you
Doge.
go, Doge. Uh,
Doge.
wow, so thermonuclear, much war.
Wow.
But yeah, I might want to pick this up when it comes out, or at least pick up the demo
It's
or
so
something.
beautiful. It's so beautiful. Why must my computer be a piece of crap?
I need to upgrade my video card one of these days.
I really just need to upgrade my computer, period.
Yeah, I upgraded my gaming machine, which you can see over my shoulder here, with a nice beefy, I think 3 terabyte hard drive and a SSD. And that's nice and speedy, but it doesn't make the frames go very much faster. So I need to upgrade the video card one of these days.
I just need to upgrade it completely because I've had this stupid thing for like 4 to 5 years,
Yeah, I've had
and it's just now starting to show its age.
I've had this machine for geez, going on 8 years now. I
Wow.
upgraded the video card about 4 years ago, so it's due for another refresh, I think. But yeah, I've heard that you can pretty much jump in on any of the games in the Fallout series. So I'm pretty
Oh yeah,
sure.
no, they don't really need much exposition. You just
Right,
need to know things exploded
right, and
and
there's
then everything went to crap.
there's some callbacks and continuity I hear, but not a whole lot. Not so much that you won't really
Miss anything,
that you
yeah.
won't really have missed anything, that you won't get what's going on by just jumping right in. So I'm pretty sure it's New Vegas that I have in my Steam library. So I think I'll try to get that out. Maybe stream a little bit of it one of these
I need to
days.
get back into New Vegas.
Yeah,
I was having fun with that. Then I stopped because my computer was a piece of crap and kept dropping frames like there was no tomorrow.
yeah. Well, so that's the Fallout 4 announcement trailer. We'll probably hear more about that at E3 coming up, and again, we'll talk about.
It's confirmed to be at E3.
Oh, okay. It is confirmed then that we'll be hearing more about it. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
duh. You put out a big trailer like that right before E3. You're probably gonna. It's pretty reasonable to expect to hear more about it at E3. So they might as well just go ahead and say, yeah, you're gonna hear more about this at E3. Another thing that happened, oh, last week before we would have recorded an episode last week, is that we finally got the final unveiling of the Steam controller and something that we hadn't heard about before called the Steam Link.
No, I think we heard about Steam Link before.
I don't really remember hearing about it before. We'll talk about that. We'll talk
I
about that in a second.
distinctly remember hearing about Steam Link previously.
Well, I know we've heard about
Whatever.
Steam boxes, and those are also starting to go up
Well, okay,
for
yeah,
sale
Steam
and
boxes. That's
pre-orders.
pretty obvious.
Yeah, the Steam boxes, which are the sort of their mid-level gaming PCs in a tiny uh, set-top box
Console-sized
size,
box.
or not even console size. They're almost like Apple TV or Roku sized box that you can just set next to your TV and plug into it. And so we've got the ones from Alienware and a couple other manufacturers that are starting to go, I believe, on pre-order. But we also got the final unveiling of the Steam controller. It looks pretty cool. They've done some work on the...
I do like the look of the Steam controller.
Yeah, they've done some work on the touchpads. One of them is kind of textured to be more like a D-pad now. They got rid of kind of the weird ring things that were on the touchpads before, but they're still there. And you've got more controller style buttons and a actual thumbstick on it now. And it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm liking the look of this.
Yeah, and
I definitely want to get this.
I've been using a 360 controller with my Windows PC, and I also have a PlayStation controller here, a PS3 or a DualShock 3 that I use with emulators on my Mac whenever I want to stream a Pokemon game or something like that. But I might want to pick up one of these Steam controllers because they look pretty slick, and
Yeah, I definitely want to.
with all of the configurability that you'll be able to have with them, that's really interesting. I almost just want to pick one up to see what you can do with it, what all the things are that it's capable of. And so that's up for pre-order now. Link in the show notes. That's going to be $50 to order. The other thing, the Steam Link, kind of confuses me. It's like an Apple TV or a Roku or a Chromecast for streaming Steam games from your PC to your living room.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it does. Is
Yeah.
you hook it up, is you connect it to the TV and the home network. It detects what computers on the network are running Steam, and then it connects to that Steam account that the computer is currently running.
Right. So it's just like it's just like AirPlay if you have a Mac or an iOS device and an Apple TV, or if you have anything really and a Chromecast. It just mirrors your Steam games that are running on your PC or your Mac or your Linux, whatever, to your TV. And so I'm a little confused by that, because if you have a gaming PC, normally you're going to be wanting to play your games on your gaming PC. And I get for an Apple TV, I use that all the time to watch stuff in my iTunes library on my living room TV, because I don't necessarily want to be sitting in my desk chair just sitting there watching a movie for 3 hours or 4 if it's one of the Lord of the Rings movies. That makes sense to me. And I guess if you want to play your PC games like console games in the living room with friends, if you want to play a game that has local multiplayer or co-op, I can see that. But other than that, unless you're just that much more of a console style gamer and would rather sit in front of your TV with a controller than in front of your computer, I guess I can see that, but I don't know. I'm still just a little confused by this.
I see it more as like, if you have a high-end gaming PC and you don't want to get a Steam machine, but you still want to play PC games on the TV, then you get a Steam Link, and I think it runs off of your computer specs.
Right. The Steam Link itself, all it does is mirror games that are running on your existing computer, your existing desktop. It doesn't actually have the it doesn't have the same gaming PC hardware in it that you get in that a Steam box has. It's not a Steam box. It's an entirely separate appliance, really, that just all it does is mirror your games from your gaming machine to a TV in another room. So I guess I can see some use cases for it. I don't know if I can really see myself getting one, because I've got my consoles that I play that are hooked up to my TV. I've got the controllers that I use with PC games that are hooked up to my computer, and I'm fine with that. So I guess it's just not for me, but I guess I can kind of see the cases where someone would want one of those. So I was pretty confused by it. I'm a little less confused by it now.
Yeah, it's really just I already have a high like if you already have a high-end gaming PC, but if you don't want to spend $400 on a Steam machine, you could spend $50 on a device that mirrors Steam games to your TV,
Right.
so that you don't have to waste extra money.
Or
Anyway.
if you don't want to spend $300 on a console, but still want to play your games in the living room,
Yeah.
and you've got a PC that can run Steam that you could stream the games from.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense then. I do want the controller though.
I do too.
It's a pretty sweet controller.
I do too.
My favorite controller right now has to be the DualShock 4, the PlayStation 4 controller. It is really slick. The only complaint I have about it.
Do like this controller right here, the Wii U Pro controller.
Yeah.
It's a really nice controller.
I have not picked one of those up, mostly because I haven't been playing a whole lot of Smash Brothers. But those do look pretty nice. But I'm definitely partial lately to the DualShock 4. Yes, very shiny.
Yeah, this is a very, very good controller.
Yeah.
I very much recommend it.
Yeah.
For Wii U. But yeah, I definitely want the controller. I might get that at some point. I am also thinking about getting one of the Steam boxes until I can get a better computer.
Yeah.
Very much. And then once I do get a better computer, I'll get a Steam Link and use that.
They're
Maybe.
the Steam boxes are mid to upper range gaming PCs. You can actually spend almost $2,000 on one that's by itself. By itself, you almost wouldn't even need another gaming capable PC. And you can hook a keyboard and mouse up to it just the same as any computer. So
I mean, I've heard that you can build better gaming PCs than the Steam machines for like less, but
well, that's true with any pre-built PC that you buy. You pretty much can always buy the parts and build it yourself for less, because you're paying someone else to assemble it.
But like if you're building
to me, a lot of the times that's worth it. I'm fully capable of building my own machine. I don't want to go through the pain of having to diagnose and troubleshoot and keep my own machine running. I'd rather be able to pay someone else to manage that for me, because I've got so little time as it is. But
and I'm not really well versed in that kind of stuff, so
yeah, so you might be fine saving up for and getting a mid to upper range Steam machine, and that I don't know. Check out the reviews. I'm sure there are some reviews around of starting to pop up of Steam boxes, so you might look into that and see.
I mean, they don't release for another 4 to 5 months, so I don't think they'd show up this early.
Well, there might be. I don't know, but that's kind of what I'm thinking, is that if you don't have a current tier gaming PC, you could almost just have a Steam box, and that would take care of most of it, I'd think.
Yeah. I mean, I could upgrade my PC, but it's 4 or 5 years old, and I don't really think it's worth it at this point to upgrade it. And I think
maybe not.
It'd be easier to just get a new one.
Yeah. 4 or 5 years is pretty good life for a PC, though. So
yeah, but this one only has, 4 gigs of RAM? I don't even remember what the video card is.
Well, I know you've upgraded the video card in it once.
At least once,
Yeah.
yes.
Well,
And
anyway,
I think it's a like 3 megahertz processor. No,
3 gigahertz.
no additional cores though.
Yeah. Well,
So
we'll
yeah, I think I
see.
definitely want to upgrade it.
We'll see in the coming weeks and months once more information, reviews of Steam boxes start to come out. I'm sure there'll be plenty of comparisons of what you can do with the Steam box versus just getting a whole new gaming PC. So we'll see. That's all upcoming though. All I know is I want that controller. That's pretty awesome.
Yep.
Speaking of Hearthstone, we can't stop talking about Hearthstone on this show. And this is the last thing before we really get into what we think is going to happen at E3. But there were a couple of big Hearthstone announcements made just over the past week. The first one is finally confirmation that we are getting additional heroes, not additional classes, but additional heroes, which are basically just skins for the existing classes. The first of
Still
which
want
will
my monk class.
I know. I want a Death Knight, but in the meantime, I think we can make do with being able to play as Magni Bronzebeard, the King of the Dwarves, as an alternate warrior skin. It's a new animated hero portrait with all new emote voices, an animated hero power. It's the same hero power for the warrior, but when you click it, this big golden hammer comes up and whacks it, and before you gain your 2 armor, it's pretty cool. And it also comes with a card back. But there's been a lot of controversy about the price. It's priced right now at $9.99. That, to me, that seems about right. I would buy it for that because you've got all the new artwork and all the new animation that went into it, and you've got the voice work, and you've got the card back, which by itself is probably about $2. So I would pay $10 for an all new hero skin with all of that. But there have been a lot of people saying that's way too much. Some people are saying, why can I only buy this with cash? The answer to which is because it's entirely optional and has absolutely no effect on the actual gameplay mechanics. But I and some people have said that maybe $7 or $8 would be better, but I think 10 is just fine. I would buy it for that. What do you think?
If if it's purely cosmetic, I think it should be worth a little less.
Yeah,
But I
and
mean, if it did something like have a different hero power play style in comparison to Garage, yeah, I think it'd be worth 7 or 8 bucks.
well, see the thing about having a different hero power is then you're giving something that has a material effect on the potential outcome of the game to players who are only to players who are willing to pay actual money for it. If it were if it were something like that had an actual effect on gameplay, they would also make it able to be bought with gold that you earn in game.
Well, then
The reason that they're
that's
only
just it. Why wouldn't they price it with gold if you could buy it in game?
well, because it's purely cosmetic.
Well, I mean, if it actually did something other than just look pretty.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing though, is that it doesn't really do anything other than just be a different skin, a different option. And again, that's the thing. It's entirely optional. It doesn't change anything about the warrior class in the game. It doesn't change anything about how any of the cards or the hero powers play. It's purely cosmetic. It's a skin. So, I can on the one hand see the argument for $10 maybe being a little much. It's not like I'd be complaining if it were $7 or $8 saying this should cost more. I wouldn't be doing that. I'm just saying that to me $10
Well,
seems
I mean, whoever complains about something costing too little.
well, yeah. That it really doesn't make much sense to complain about it like that. It's just that to me, $10 seems it makes sense to me. I can see where I can see how they could arrive at that price, and people are sure as hell gonna buy it. It's not like no one is gonna buy it at that price point. I'm sure that they've done the research on what to charge for it, and done their own calculations on what they would need to charge for it to be profitable for them. So I can see how they'd arrive at that. Maybe they'll change their mind with all the uproar about it and charge $7.99 for it. Seems likely to me. But hey, I'm saying is that I can see where they're coming from on it, and maybe down the road they'll when they come out with more. And we do also know that there are two more. Excuse me, sorry,
Stop dying.
just a second here. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. We
Jeez,
do.
man, you need to stop dying.
I know, right?
We can only use the Dragon Ball so many times.
Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z are on Hulu. Jill and I watched all the way through Dragon Ball. We're watching through Dragon Ball Z now.
I
It's
may or may not have been watching stuff about Dragon Ball Xenoverse
it's
and DBZ Abridged.
that
Maybe.
that series is like 30 years old. Dragon Ball is almost 30 years old now, and it still holds up. It's still just as awesome now as it was for as long as I've known it to be a thing. That's longer than I've been alive, and for as long as I've known about it as a thing, it's still just as awesome.
Anyway,
Anyway,
completely unrelated to the subject.
Getting back to what we were talking about before I started exploding, we do know that Blizzard they've teased an additional mage and an additional hunter hero. We're pretty sure that the hunter is going to be Tyrande, a night elf. So again, going with the one alliance hero, one horde hero for the classes. With warrior, obviously you've got Hellscream and Garrosh Hellscream, and now Magna Bronzebeard. With the hunter, you've got Rexar. So I get it makes sense to have a night elf hunter, which is probably Tyrande. People have said that the bow and the silhouette that Blizzard teased looks a lot like Tyrande's bow. Side note, a lot of people think Tyrande is a priest, but she is actually a hunter. Her class in WoW is actually hunter. So that makes perfect sense to me. The mage looks like it could be a troll. Some people are saying, hey, maybe it's Medivh. We don't know yet, but I'm sure they'll be unveiling both of those very soon. And it's possible, going back to what we were talking about with the price, the $9.99 price for the new hero skin, it's possible that once they put out more, they'll drop the price, or maybe they'll offer bundles at $25 for 3, something like that. We'll see what they do with it. I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up lowering the price before they start putting these on sale, but $10 seems perfectly reasonable to me. I'm fine with it. I'll probably end up buying it at some point.
I'll pass on it for the moment.
Yeah, and see that's the thing though. They're entirely optional. They're completely cosmetic. You don't have to have them if you don't want to spend the money on them, and if you do spend the money on them, then all they do is look cool and say and show, hey, I spent the money on this, like cosmetic mounts in WoW or skins in Heroes.
I mean, $10 just to get a fancy looking hero portrait. That just sounds a little extravagant.
There is the original artwork that's gone
just
into it. There is the animation that's gone into it. There's voice work. So there is stuff that's gone into it. And like I said, I can see how they came up to that price point. We'll see what happens between now and when they release it, which we don't know when that's going to be yet, but I'm sure we'll know soon. And they'll probably put at least a few different hero options up for sale at once. I don't think they'll start out with just one on sale, because it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to only have one class that has 2 heroes available. So they'll probably reveal the other 2 officially between now and when they become available. The other feature that was unveiled just yesterday actually was Tavern Brawl mode. They teased that little slot below the 3 buttons on the home screen in Hearthstone is going to become another button, and we found out that it is going to be a new mode called Tavern Brawl, which it's where you go in every week there's a different set of rules that you play by, and you go and you challenge either a random opponent or a friend, and both of you are playing decks that abide by the rules for the current brawl, and you go at it and see who wins. Some of the example rule sets that Blizzard gave are a pre-set deck, so you're both using the same deck. Certain guidelines of how you have to build a deck, so like formats in Magic the Gathering are basically the equivalent to that. Or sometimes certain types of minions will get a buff. So maybe one week mechs will get a buff, another week dragons. Things like that. It sounds really neat to me, really. It seems kind of like Hearthstone's version. It's not a perfect equivalent, but their interpretation of gameplay formats with Magic the Gathering, where you have the different you have like standard, you have modern, you have vintage, you have constructed and limited, which I guess you already kind of had in ranked play versus the arena. But just kind of different takes on that, different sets of cards and different rule sets of what cards you can use to play. So that sounds fascinating to me. I'm all in on this. We do know that it's going to be free entry, at least at the very first. They didn't really explain whether or not after a certain amount of time you're going to have to buy into it like the arena. And it's going to be unlocked when you reach level 20 with one hero. Now, I was talking with a coworker of mine who also plays Hearthstone about this earlier today. And he made an interesting point about whether or not or how Blizzard might monetize the Tavern Brawl mode. Because with Constructed, you're using cards from packs that you've bought either with gold or with real money, or that you've crafted from dust that came from either arena runs that you paid for or from cards that you've bought, again, either with real money or with gold. With arena, you're paying to choose from random pools of cards that you may or may not necessarily have. With Brawl, we don't really know yet. Are we going to mostly be using cards that we already have and just building a deck to fit a specific brawl? Are we going to, or is it going to be more like arena where we're given a deck or sets of cards to choose from and building a deck from that? We don't really know that yet, but he was saying, and it makes some sense to me, that if we're going to be playing in brawl mode mostly with cards that that you may not necessarily have in your collection, that they would charge something for it. It may be the same as an arena run to get into the current week's brawl, something like that. So we don't really have any details on that yet. What we do know is that it is going to be arriving with a patch in the middle of this month, so in the next couple of weeks probably. And that for the first several weeks, the first several brawls, your first win each week will earn you a free card pack. So that's pretty neat. So I'm pretty intrigued by this. I'm definitely going to check this out. That sounds like a lot of fun. All right, now let's get to the what we really want to talk about this week. E3.
Oh boy.
Hype train, it's happening. Hype dog, actually, if we're talking about Fallout 4. Hype dog barking. So yeah, Fallout 4, that's going to be a thing. We know we're going to hear about that. We've already talked about the trailer, how awesome it is. I'm in. I'm excited for it. I want to see more of it. Another thing that we found out we're going to be hearing more about is something that was first announced 2 years ago, and then 1 year ago was the next time that we heard anything about it. And then just the other day was the first time since then that we heard anything about it. And it is the much anticipated follow-up to Mirror's Edge, which we now know will be called Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Mirror's Edge is one of my favorite games of the last several years. It's a lot of fun. Free running game, don't play it if you have motion sickness. If in the chance that you haven't heard of it, but it's a good game. I really enjoyed it, and I've been really anticipating them making another one. And this one isn't so much a sequel. It sounds like, or they've said that it's not a sequel. It sounds kind of like it might be a prequel, but we're not really sure. We don't know a whole lot about it yet. We are going to be hearing more about it coming up at the very start of E3. June 15th at 1 o'clock Pacific time is when there's going to be a event that will unveil more about it. But until then, we really don't know a whole lot about. What we do know is that it's going to somewhat set the stage for the events of the original Mirror's Edge. And we also know that it will be accompanied by a prequel comic to Catalyst that'll be called Mirror's Edge Exordium. That's going to be coming on September 9th from Dark Horse Comics. Whoops. Let's shut that off. Yeah. So yeah, I'm probably gonna check out that comic. It looks pretty neat, and obviously I'm excited for a new Mirror's Edge game. So I'm excited to hear more about this after so many years of just waiting to hear something more about it.
I did enjoy Mirror's Edge 1. I should probably pick up the sequel at some point.
There is only the one game so far.
Well, yeah.
But we'll hear in a couple of weeks, or less than a week really, about this one, and hopefully it'll be coming out sometime pretty soon. From the posts on the Mirror's Edge website, it sounds like they're pretty excited about the developers are pretty excited about it. So we'll see. I know that I'm definitely going to be playing it. Now to get a little more into the prediction type stuff, I've got just a couple of things that I kind of think are going to happen, and one that I hope is going to happen, but really honestly have absolutely no idea. I'm pretty sure we're going to hear more about Halo 5. We know obviously Microsoft, Sony, they're all going to have their big events. We know that there is also going to be that PC gaming focused sort of side event that Blizzard and a bunch of other PC gaming companies, Square Enix is going to be there. We know
Blizzard's going to be there?
Yeah, it's a...
They're never at E3. Like, never. They have their own thing that they do. So.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I know they have BlizzCon. This isn't really a part of the main E3. It's sort of a side offshoot thing. I forget what it's called, but... it's gonna
Isn't it hosted by like PC Gamer?
Yeah, and it's gonna be mostly focused on PC gaming, whereas E3 has largely been the main console developers and manufacturers. So Blizzard is gonna be at that. As for Sony, I don't really care that much. I'm still having fun with my PS4. They are going to keep putting out stuff that I'll play on it. That's fine. There's nothing really in particular that I'm looking forward to, excited about. Uncharted 4, that'll be interesting. That'll be fun. But other than that, not a whole lot there that I'm all that interested in. On the Microsoft side of things, I do think we're going to hear more about Halo 5. That's obviously supposed to be coming up later this year.
It is. I think it's October or November.
It's supposed to be like by the holiday release window this year. But with the debacle that was Master Chief Collection, I don't know, they might want to push it a little bit longer or a little bit closer to the end of that window to try to have a working game out by the time they actually release it. But it's not very much of a stretch to say that Halo 5 is going to be at E3. With the thing that Blizzard with the thing that Blizzard is doing, I think we are going to get a beta date for Overwatch. We are going to hear more about Overwatch. I think we'll get or at least a more specific window than just fall of when the Overwatch beta is coming. I don't know if we'll get a specific date, but I think we'll get a little more information about when it'll be coming into beta. And we may also hear about a couple of new heroes for it. That would be neat. Certainly they'll talk about Heroes of the Storm, because that's anytime they have any sort of event for anything, they release 2 new Heroes of the Storm heroes. It seems like they've been doing tons of awesome work for that lately. And then my total shot in the dark is we might hear about Pokemon Generation 7. We've gone the usual cycle of core games and then either third part or sequel or remake in consecutive years. And so if we follow the pattern that we've been in the last, what's it been, 6 years or so, 5 or 6 years, something like that, then it would stand to reason that Generation 7 would be next. Certainly they're already well underway on the next main series game.
I would say it's happening this year. I wouldn't say that Gen 7 is happening until like next year or the year after, personally.
Well, usually
I'm still betting on Kalos follow-up or an X and Y follow-up.
Yeah, that's which is a possibility. They could put
third
out
version or sequel, depending.
They could.
They've done both.
Yeah, they haven't done a third version since Platinum, and that generation obviously was Diamond, Pearl, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Platinum. So they haven't done a third version since then. They could still very well. That was only 2 generations ago, but. And again, this is just my shot in the dark prediction, just short of a wild guess. But I think it's possible that we hear about Generation 7. We usually, when there's a new generation, we hear about it earlier on in the year. They're definitely already well underway on whatever the next game is that they're going to put out. That I have no doubt about that. I wouldn't exactly bet money that we're going to hear it, but that if I have to make one wild out there prediction, that's what mine is going to be. We do know that we're getting a new Mystery Dungeon game, though. That's been announced. We're getting Super Mystery Dungeon coming to the 3DS.
All 720 Pokemon.
Oh, it sounds so awesome.
It is going to be a cluster.
I have not played any of the Mystery Dungeon games, but I want to play this. It sounds awesome. I want it. I'm definitely going to be picking that up. So yeah, those are my guesses. One is really safe, another is pretty safe, and one that's way out there. You got any to add to any of those, Aaron?
Not really. Just obviously Fallout 4.
Well, yeah, Fallout 4.
That hype train has started.
Oh yeah, that hype train's not stopping. It's been going for a long time, and it's not stopping.
But, no, I'm kind of waiting with bated breath to see what Nintendo does.
Yeah,
because they don't really have much coming out this year aside from the new Star Fox and Xenoblade.
All their stuff's got pushed to 2016, hasn't it? The Wii U Zelda.
No, I don't think that they have what's left actually. Because what other games
did those all get pushed to this year?
When Zelda, was it that obviously that's 2016.
Yeah, that's the big one. That's the big one that got pushed to next year because they're still working on it.
I feel like that's the only big one. We have a new Yoshi game, but I think that's still this year.
Isn't the new Xenoblade still in the pipeline?
Oh yeah, that's still this year.
Yeah.
People are paranoid that will be pushed to next year, but I doubt it.
Well, so we'll probably hear some about that at E3. I wouldn't be surprised also if we heard some about the open world Zelda Wii U game. We did also hear that Hyrule Warriors is going to be coming to the 3DS, which sounds pretty interesting. It's going to have a bunch of new characters and stuff. That sounds cool. That's definitely a fun game for the Wii U. But yeah, it is going to be interesting to see what Nintendo's doing because things have been they've been on a little bit of shaky ground. They've put out some great games for the Wii U, but it still hasn't been much to do a whole lot for their sales. So I don't know. They're in a weird place right now. So it's going to be interesting. It'll be neat to see what they pull out. I bet you they'll do something really interesting that gets
before they reveal a new Metroid and everyone loses their crap.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not betting on it, but before that happens.
It could happen. You never know. It could happen. Nintendo does weird stuff.
They just like to throw curveballs.
Yeah.
For better or for worse.
Yeah. Well, I think that's pretty much going to do it for this episode. We run a little long because we got talking about stuff, and it had been a couple of weeks, and obviously talking about E3. That's got us all excited, and we'll be back next week for sure to talk about all the stuff that has happened thus far, as of when we record next at E3. But in the meantime, if you want to find our show notes for this or any of our other episodes, download the MP3 of this or any of our other episodes, find links to our Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus pages, links to subscribe to us on iTunes or via our RSS feed. You can find all of that at our website, which is lifeisleet.com. That's LIFEISLEET.com. Or on Facebook directly at fb.me/lifeisleet, Twitter at lifeisleet, or Google Plus at +lifeisleet podcast. We live stream these episodes every Wednesday night, usually at about 9:30 Arizona time. You can find those at lifeisleet.com/live. If you're on Twitch, you can find me at twitch.tv/jbhanna, Aaron at twitch.tv/plato0, or the show at twitch.tv/lifeisleet. And whenever either of us streams a game, you can find it at pretty much any of those places, or you can just go to lifeisleet.com/live to find any of our live streaming stuff there. I'm Jesse. I'm the one who writes this thing, so if anything in it is wrong, blame me. All the stuff that I do is at jbhanna.net. If you want to contact the show with feedback, comments, recommendations, suggestions, audio attachments, anything like that, you can send that all to us via email at podcast@lifeisleet.com. That is going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Thank you for putting up with my horrible voice and cough. For me, for Aaron, until next time, everyone within the sound of my voice, enjoy E3 and all the news that comes with it, and take care. Okay.